Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm so glad you could join us today. We are here live at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma, and I have two very special ladies here today. This is Pam Dobbins and Ashley Coates, and Pam and Ashley are here from Comanche. Comanche, if you're watching and don't know where Comanche is, just a little hop, skip, and a jump south of Duncan. And in their community, they have something called Christian Helping Hands, of which Pam is the director. And she was just telling me a little bit about when she moved into this position. So Pam, how long have you been with Christian Helping Hands?
Since 2009. So I guess that's
13
years. We're in our 13th year, but it was already had started as a food pantry and was getting ready to shut down. And the mayor of the city came to me and said, would you help keep it open? Which seems simple. And I said, sure, I'll help. And from there, we just moved.
She'll help.
Yes.
And you helped it into becoming something.
It has grown
amazing.
significantly since then. But we started out as just a food pantry for the local community. It was actually started in 1996 by the Ministerial Alliance in the community. And a wonderful man had been running it, and he passed away, and it just was struggling. And that's why the mayor asked us if we would keep it open. And we said, sure. Didn't seem hard at the time, which it wasn't.
Right.
I think the first month that we were open, we had 25 people to get food. And it was just a small little ministry that was helping a few people at the time.
So how many years did it take for it to begin to grow?
Well, it actually began expanding kind of quickly, in that once people found out we were opening, we went around and spoke a few places to let people know there's new leadership and it is available. And it began to grow. The food pantry began to grow rather quickly. And then as we began to see other needs in the community, people would come in and ask different things, you know. Our first clothes closet, which we do have a clothes closet now, but our first clothes closet started by a coat rack hanging on the porch. And so the first winter that we were open, we would every week, if we had coats, and people would donate them, and we'd hang them out on the porch, and whoever needed a coat would take one. That was our beginning of a clothes closet. And the first expansion was in 2010. We added the clothes closet in a house that we could use. And it just continued to grow. A lady came into our food pantry one day, and she said it was snowy, icy, cold. All she had on was flip-flops. And she said, do you have any shoes? And we said, no, but we'll get some. And that's really when people began to donate a few clothes for different people. And we made a little room in our food pantry that we had, probably a little 8x10 room. We began to hang clothes in it. And a little girl came in one day, and she was getting ready to start kindergarten. And we were able to give her a dress and a pair of shoes and a backpack. And she put that dress on right then. And to this day, I can see the smile on her face, and it just changed her life. For that moment. And so we just began, we actually made a promise at that time. And we said, God, whatever you give us, we will use to help whoever you send us. And so people began to give things, and it just began to expand how we were helping.
Right. So 2010, that's just a year later. Besides yourself, had you enlisted other volunteers?
Yes.
At that point, and were you a volunteer still at that point?
Yes. What we did is there were 2 or 3 churches in the community that were supporting the food pantry that was there before we took over the leadership of it. And we went to those churches and told them we're the new director. I'm the new director, and Jeannie McGowan was the other lady with me. She was the mayor at the time that got me into this. And we went around and just told people, we're gonna do this, we're available, we're gonna be open every week. If you know anybody that needs help, or if you would like to get involved, come down and volunteer. And several people from the churches came and began to volunteer.
Kind of stepped into those roles.
When they found out that we were gonna do it and keep it open. And
Sounds like it just needed kind of a little boost, a little shot.
It
in the
just
arm.
needed somebody to be there
Right.
and say that they would do it. The school did a large canned food drive for us when we first opened, and people would drive by and give us a little money donation or different things. So it kind of just sparked in the community that we're doing this now, and people began to come and help. And we had one church, Living Waters, it was a small church in the community, and we went and told them that we were doing this. About 6 or 8 people from their church came and started volunteering every week.
Wow. Wow.
So it was mainly church people in the community that helped to get us going in the beginning.
So then you're rolling along 2010, 2011, things are still just kind of growing with the clothes and the food. So when did you kind of take this big jump to, she's going to tell you what Christian Helping Hands looks like today, but like, how did you get from there, like
Into the housing?
yes.
Okay. Like I said, we made a promise, whatever you give us, we'll use to help whoever you send us. And people began to give us furniture. They began to give us appliances, and inevitably, I promise, if somebody gave us a refrigerator, somebody would come in and say, well, I need help with food, but I don't have a refrigerator. And we'd say, we do, and we'll give it to you, you know, and so we
Right.
did that. But in the summer of 2010, we had 8 women contact us who were single mothers, either homeless or at risk of being homeless, needing a place to stay. And I would put them in a hotel for a night or two, and that all it did was give them a moment of rest and a shower.
Right.
Really, it didn't change their life, didn't change their situation. And Patterson Church has a lot with a house in it, on it, that they were going to tear down. And I asked them, I said, can we use that house for a little while? And they said, well, we're going to tear it down in a few months. And I said, well, that'll be better than living on the streets.
Right.
So we actually moved a mother and 4 children into that house and began to help them. And then at the end of the summer, she actually went to Oklahoma City to live with someone else. But it kind of sparked an interest in us that there's a need to help single moms and homeless moms with kids. One of the ladies that we helped, she had been living in somebody's storage building with her son. And so we just started praying, Lord, how do we help
Right.
single moms
Right.
who are homeless or at risk of being homeless? And we got a phone call one day from a family that one of their relatives was moving into assisted living, and they wanted to give us her house. And we're like, well, that will help homeless people. And that was the beginning of us having a housing program. And
And so was that still 2010?
2011,
Okay.
2010, we started 2011, we started the idea in 2010. 2011, I think we had our first family move into the home. But this family gave us a home, and I have to be honest with you, we didn't really know how to run a program. We just kind of ran by the seat of our pants.
Right.
You know, and how to help this family. And once they gave us the home, the first family we moved into our home was a lady with 2 sons. And she's still our friend today, but I'll be honest, we learned everything you should not do.
Well, there are growing pains.
There is. And then right after that, another person came to us and said, I'm going to give you this house that was right next to where our clothes closet was. We had a house we were using for our clothes closet. Right next to it was a house. Nobody was living in it. The owner said, I'm going to give it to you and you can tear it down and make a parking lot. And I said, no, I'll remodel it. And we did write grants, and he gave us the house. We remodeled it, and it became our second home of helping mothers who were homeless or at risk of being homeless. But what we found out quickly, and I don't think either one of us realized this in the beginning, incarceration and addiction have a lot to do with homelessness. They do. And so I began to reach out to other people that I knew were doing this ministry. One of the ones was Stand in the Gap Ministries. Their board members and some of their staff were invaluable in teaching us and guiding us in what to do.
Right, because I'm guessing at some point you had to become like a 501c3
Well,
or
actually,
some kind of
Christian Helping
organization.
Hands was a 501c3, but we
Okay.
took over. Thank
Okay.
you to the people before us who did
Right.
all that paperwork.
Right, yeah,
It was already established.
but you didn't have a board,
We did have a
you
board.
did?
We had a board. We were a full-fledged, had a board, had
Like bylaws?
bylaws, had all the 501c3 in place when we took over.
But those bylaws only applied to a food pantry.
Yes.
So there had to be.
Well, we grew through, we just started growing, not really knowing. Part of it is we were chasing ourselves, chasing our own growth.
Right, right.
So much furniture and stuff was coming in. People find out what we're doing there, which we do have a lot of houses today, and every one of them are furnished by donation. I'm just telling you. The community got behind us in a lot of things, but those were our first 2 homes. And then our clothes closet outgrew the house where it was. And we moved it into a building that used to be the fire station in Comanche years ago. We actually got that. Almost everything we have has been given to us. I'm just telling you, people are so good and so supportive. But we acquired it for just a few dollars, the building, and turned it into our clothes closet. Well, the house that was our clothes closet, we weren't going to use it anymore, but we had so many people needing housing assistance that we still use it today. We never could get away from needing it.
Right, right.
So we turned it into another house. So there we had 3 houses, but in the beginning, we were putting 1 woman to a house, and it wasn't the best because they need community. They were lonely. They were more apt to return to the people they were familiar.
Are you talking about the first one you said was a woman with her children? Did they have their children with them?
She did.
But these others that you're talking about,
Yes.
were they?
Even if you put them with their children in a house, they need
They
community
need
with
right.
people who are positive influence.
Yes.
And encouraging and understand them more, even though we saw them every day, we weren't with them at night or in the mornings. And if any of you know or knew Heather Phillips, Heather came to work. I had a snow cone stand in 2015, and we still just had the 3 houses. Heather came to work at my snow cone stand in 2015. And it was not by chance. God sent her. If you know any of Heather's history, those that know her, she was in and out of rehab many times, in and out of jail. I don't know if she ever went to prison, truthfully. But Heather had a difficult life,
Right.
but had changed. And she was in drug court and came to work at my snow cone stand. And she literally told me one day, she said, can I tell you something? And I said, what? She goes, I think these ladies take advantage of you. I said, really? I know, I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
I just loved Heather. I mean, she was so sweet. Well, she began to teach me about the life of an addict or someone who'd been in and out of, and I became her friend to help her move back into society. That was good.
Right.
But she was amazing. She was so good. And she is actually the one who encouraged us to get what we call the community house, which is a house where 4 or 5 women can live as they are re-entering the transitional stage to transition out of recovery into a better life.
Right. Right.
And so we looked for a house, and where our clothes closet is, we're standing there one day and we look across the street And we're like, look, there's the Methodist parsonage. Nobody's living in it. And so we talked to the Methodist church and they said they would like to partner with us. And to this day, we still use their parsonage as transitional housing.
Wow.
It took us about a year to remodel it
Mhm.
and get it ready. But Heather set that up, taught us a lot, gave us so much encouragement
Mhm.
in moving forward.
So one thing that strikes me while you're talking about this, I mean, from 09 to 2015, when did you make the partnership with the Methodist Church?
Well, we actually opened the house in 2017, so
Okay.
about 2015, 16.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about all of these needs that are coming to you. It's like you say, you're just chasing yourself, but how do you where do you find the ability to not try to go faster than you can go? I mean, I feel like that would be frustrating, that it took all those years for you to open that transition house when you knew the need was there years before, but you have to go through all of these steps. You have to remodel, and it takes time. And I'm just thinking, and in the meantime, because you're all about helping people, all these people are out here who need that help, and you can't do what you really want to do for them. That seems like such a frustrating.
It is. We did help a lot of people. We still were helping people through the food pantry,
Right,
and the clothes closet. And we learned that God provides. He gives us the vision, He provides, and we learn to do it in His timing, trusting.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times we want to go faster, and I can tell you, Jeannie McGowan and I worked many, many, many hours, passionate about what we were doing and trying to help people. But we just learned to take it as we could, different people came and helped work on the house. United Way came and painted it. And we had some other people that they painted the inside, other people painted the outside. My sweet, wonderful husband really doesn't like to answer the phone when I call. He knows he's going to get one of those jobs. Right? And my children are like, don't answer. You will have to work. But we had a lot of people. I just, like our food pantry, it started out on 2nd Street in a very small building. We had room for 4 people to sit in the lobby. And we moved it to the building that used to be Panel's grocery store. Well, that building had a fire in it, and Dow Panel was sitting out in the parking lot. And I stopped and asked him, I said, Dow, what are you going to do with this building? And he said, I guess I will tear it down. I didn't have insurance. And I said, why don't you give it to us? And he did. And so there we had what used to be a grocery store is now our food pantry, which is so much larger and so much space.
Right.
But again, it took us about a year using volunteers coming on Saturdays and cleaning it out and remodeling it and taking out walls and putting in things that we need. And because we had to do some things because of the fire that was in it, but it took us about a year.
Wow.
And we just work as we are able.
So you said Heather mentioned that told you these ladies are taking advantage of you, which you were aware of.
Yes.
But that was one of those growing pains.
Yes.
So talk about what steps you take to try to ensure that there are some parameters around the women who come and live in your houses. Tell the viewers about, how like the contract that they sign and things like that.
Do you want to talk about that? Yeah, because she keeps me from doing it wrong.
Okay. So when did you start that part of the program?
Well, I actually contacted some other people that I knew were doing transitional housing, and they gave me some of their policies and procedures, and I adapted them how that I thought they would fit our program. The people that I got information from was in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. We're very rural, which is a little bit different.
Right.
And I learned and modeled other people who were succeeding.
Mhm.
And so that's where a lot of the things, when I would see something, this isn't working, or I don't think this is the way we should do it, I would contact people and say, how do you do this?
Right.
Or what is your thoughts on this part of the program?
Mhm.
And one lady, she really was like, oh my gosh, you need help. I said,
Yeah.
yes, I know.
Yeah.
You know, because before we started this, we hadn't really planned on entering this housing program.
Mhm.
But the need was there and God was giving us the resources. We had no choice
Right.
really, but to
Right.
do it. And it has turned into such a blessing. But we learned a lot the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, but we started out with guidelines that we got from other people. And we would adapt them as we saw the need.
Mhm.
And
So Ashley, talk about, being, so the women who come to your housing,
Mhm.
do they apply? They have to fill out an application and you have a group of people who,
can I take just a minute and I'm gonna tell you about Ashley and then let Ashley talk about it.
okay,
That's okay?
okay, yeah, I
Yes.
just kind of wanted the
Yes.
viewers to know that it's not just
You just
random.
move in
Yeah,
randomly.
random, yeah, that
Yes.
there's a process that takes place
Yes.
before the women.
There
can
is,
actually do
and Ashley has helped make my process even better,
Ah,
really, by
okay.
being here. But when we first started and it was mostly Jeannie McGowan and I
Mhm.
doing the program and we are two naive ladies with grandma hearts. But Ashley came to our program out of rehab. And she had already was in the position of needing help.
Mhm.
And she went through our program just like she flew through it. But at that moment, Heather taught me this. And in the beginning, I want you to know this, that our program was called Hands of Hope Housing.
Mhm.
And Heather taught us so much that in memory of her, we changed the name to Heather's Hope. Because Heather hoped that her life would influence others to make good choices.
Mhm.
And by naming it after her, our program is her legacy of making better choices.
Right,
So
you are
that's,
perpetuating her memory.
yes, and that's why we are called Heather's Hope today. But Ashley came kind of, you were at the end of your road of possibilities. And tell them a little bit about where you were.
Well, I found myself in rehab for, it was the second time. I've been to detox 3 times. I've been to many sober living houses. My kids were in DHS custody. I had multiple charges on me. I pretty much had no hope at all. Most of the time when I went through the motions of going to rehab or detox, it was kind of to please everybody, you know.
Right,
Get 'em off my
someone
back.
else's, yeah, it wasn't for you.
No, I didn't have a problem. I was having a good time.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I was ready to change. I was ready to get my kids back and I was ready to change, but I was homeless after rehab. I didn't have a vehicle. Well, I did. Well, I didn't at the time. No, I didn't. But I didn't have any resources. My parents definitely didn't believe in me because how many times I messed up.
Right.
I don't know. And I feel like I just prayed to God and I heard of Heather's Hope Housing in Comanche.
And so how did you hear about it?
Well, a peer recovery support specialist in the rehab told me about it.
Okay, so the reputation of your organization is out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, they told me it was in Comanche, which I was like, where's Comanche?
Right,
Because
yeah.
I'm from Enid.
Yeah.
And it was God sent really. And I was willing to do whatever it took.
So you had to fill out an application.
I did have to fill out an application. Pam came and interviewed me.
We go to the rehab. when we
Okay.
can, and we
Okay.
interview them in person.
Uh-huh. So how long before you were going to be released?
I think it
Did
was
you go
about
through
30
that?
days. maybe.
Okay, is that pretty typical of the kind of the time frame or?
Sometimes it's 2 days, or
Ah.
7 days,
Okay.
depending on where they are.
Right.
Sometimes it is 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You were kind of thinking ahead then compared to what the way some people.
I was ready.
Yeah.
And that's the spot you have to be in.
Mhm.
But I went through the program, I completed the program. I was able to get DHS out of my life. I got reunification with children. I actually moved into one of their family homes, which you need to be able to get your kids back. There was just, I've never been a part of anything that had that much love and that much support and that much involvement into my life.
Mhm.
You go to other places and they put you in a room and you pay them $200 a week and you barely see them. And you better make it to AA meetings 3 times a day.
Yeah.
You know, there's no saving, there's no
Mm.
able to move to that next step, because most people that come into rehab, like I had probation fees, you know,
Right.
that's $40 a month. I have all these other fines that are due once a month, and then they expect me to have a house. I mean, it's kind of like, once you're caught in that lifestyle, you're stuck in it, and there's
Mhm.
no way out of it.
Mhm.
And Heather's Hope was like my life jacket or my,
Life preserver.
yeah,
Mhm.
to get out of the life I was.
So, okay, so you apply, Pam interviews you.
Yes.
You see her as a good fit for Heather's Hope.
Mhm.
And so what do you have to do then? Pam says, we'd like to offer this to you, but here are some things you're gonna have to do. What are those things that you have to do?
Well, for the first 30 days that you're at Heather's Hope, you can't have a phone because they don't, you know, when you first get sober, you want that support, but you're used to old support. So you want to contact old people.
Mhm.
So for the first 30 days, you can't have a phone.
And you're living in the transition house with
Yes,
5 other women?
really, once we make them a home offer,
Uh-huh.
they just have to, we usually go get them
Mm-hmm.
or they show up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but most of the time we go get them
Mm-hmm.
to make sure they come straight from where they're at to where
Right.
we are.
Right.
Yes.
So you go straight there, and then there's rules like you sign in and out, you know, when you're
Mhm.
going to work, anytime you leave the house. You know, you make your bed every morning, you have to be up by 9 o'clock. You volunteer when you first get there, at the food pantry and clothing closet to get used to being around volunteers in the community. You know, once you've been there for a while, you get a full-time job, and Heather's Hope provides transportation to and from work. She's so good.
And so all of this is free to you.
Well, no,
Okay.
there is a $50 deposit to move in,
Okay.
and, it was 280 when I first moved in for program fees. But COVID was just hit when I moved there,
Mhm.
so they really worked with me into letting me mow yards to how many, it's just, they meet you where you're at
Right.
in everything.
So the program fee, is that something that has to be paid up front, or is it something they can work out? Because obviously you're coming out of rehab without any money.
They're just so flexible, and we are to this day. I mean, we really meet people where they are. Eventually, when they do work, we want that responsibility and that accountability,
Right.
because in the real world, you have to pay your bills, of
Mhm.
course.
Mhm.
But if you come with no money, we've been real flexible into where we're gonna let you move in,
Mhm.
and we're gonna let you work, and we're gonna let you, you know, we're gonna take you to Walmart, and if you need underwear, we're gonna get you underwear. You know, it's just, it's not like you have to do it or you can't come.
Right,
Right.
right. Well, so I think, I mean, you say you have to be up by 9 o'clock, you have to make your bed, you have to volunteer. You know what? Those are things that people do anyway. And if you're not in that kind of habit,
Right.
or if you don't have that discipline, those are very basic disciplines that people, you know, have in their lives.
Right.
And that's such a great place to start,
Well, it's
just
amazing.
putting those little disciplines
Yes.
in your life.
Well, it's amazing how many people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
crazy that you live a lifestyle and you're around things that you don't know to live like that.
Mhm.
And to just start them off, and even me, I never got up by 9 and made my bed or took the time to do that, but
Mhm.
I found pride in doing it
Mhm.
and I felt good doing it.
Right.
Another thing that we do is we have never turned anybody away because they didn't have the money. We'll figure it out
Right.
and you'll get a job.
Right.
And I want to say this, when COVID hit, we had 5 women move in just within a matter of a few weeks. And the Duncan Area Economic Development gave us a good donation that these 5 women kept our food pantry and our clothes closet running because some of our volunteers
Mm.
didn't want to be out in public anymore. So they were senior adults. And these ladies, we paid them hourly through that donation from the economic development
Mhm.
to cover their fees. But they kept our ministries running.
Mhm.
It was a godsend, the whole
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
And we were able to help a lot of people. We served food during that first month of everything shut down for COVID. Over 300 families were coming to us needing
Wow.
food.
Wow.
And these ladies, all 5 of them, they worked hard and they found pride in doing it, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they
Oh,
delivered meals to shut-ins. And it was really a blessing to have them.
Mhm.
And so, because they weren't able to go out and get jobs in the public at the time.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
we paid them
Right.
to keep our ministries up.
I love that picture of what you just described, of just people helping people, organizations having extra funding to be able to give, and just
Mhm.
that continuous circle of you give and you help and it goes out and it comes back.
Well, and it
Yes.
You
even
know,
teaches,
it's beautiful.
it even
Mhm.
teaches us to give and give back.
Yes.
I've seen being in the program, I actually graduated the program. I've lived in community for 30 years now, and I'm the program coach. And so, I kind of show girls
For Heather's Hope.
for Heather's
Yeah,
Hope.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there's lots of different things I do, but one of the things I do is I show them it's possible. And I've just seen so many women be a part of the community. We had one of the women, she actually became like a ordained preacher, PRSS for her tribe.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, she worked for the city of Comanche. I've just seen so many women's lives change from Heather's Hope and being able to give that.
Well, and one of the things about hiring Ashley, we kept working with the women, and originally it was just a 1-year program. But what we realized is after 1 year, they're just getting their feet on the ground.
Right.
And that's when we talked about the family homes. But I talked to the board and I said, we're not going to grow to our potential or be able to help to the maximum we can until we hire someone who's been there, done that. And she can see things I can't see. She can understand how they feel more than me. So I rely on her a lot on the one-on-one relationship with the women to encourage them and let them know you can do this. It can be done. And I understand how you're feeling because I don't.
Right. Right.
And so the success of our program increased exponentially by having someone like Ashley, and she has such a passion and a love for the girls. They have a great relationship, and she helps them stay connected, stay focused, you can do this. It is hard sometimes. And she can talk to them and understand them way more than I can.
Right.
So it's been a big asset to have
Right.
her.
So how long, like, once you get into, you have a home, well, you're in the transition living, you're working, you're earning money. Your goal is to be reunited with your children. So kind of what does that process look like?
So I had DHS involvement, so they kind of ruled that timing.
Right.
But with women that don't, we really try for it to be a year before we reunite them with their kids, because they got to work on themselves.
Totally. they do have visits.
They do have visits. I
Right,
mean,
but
it's a
yes.
reunification to
Uh-huh.
move into a family home. We wait about a year. And that's just because there's just so many things to learn. One of the things we try to teach with them is budgeting, how to spend your money, because most of the time, I never knew you could budget.
Right.
In a way, I
Right.
never knew you could tell your money where to go. I thought you
Yeah.
just spend it as soon as you got it. I didn't
Right.
really understand. But, and to just work on that relationship with God, one of our requirements too is going to church. And just preparing yourself to be able to be ready to have the children back.
Repairing yourself. I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you laughed about budgeting, but I mean, really, more people budget probably than what you think. And everybody has to figure that out,
Right.
It's,
Well, what I realized too, the lifestyle that they had before, they lived daily.
yeah.
What am I gonna do today?
Mhm.
So I can, like Ashley said it before, what can I do today so I have a hotel room tonight?
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
So I don't sleep on the street.
Mhm.
And so their focus was just survival of the moment.
Mhm.
And we actually have them write out their weekly schedule. What's your work schedule? What other appointments or classes do you have this week? And they write it out and give it to us at the beginning of the week to teach them to manage their time, because that's a resource.
Right. Right.
And, it takes time for them to understand.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say that every one of them loves all these rules.
I mean, it's a complete 180 from where you have been. And I mean, I'm sure sometimes you just want to throw your hands up in the air and just say, this is too hard.
I feel like it can be a lot, and I feel like it's a lot to do with if they're ready. And if that's what you're ready to do, I feel like you'll do kind of what it takes. But even having that support, saying you can do this, and not even just me being there where they are. I mean, we have support like Pam, from the volunteers at the food pantry. We have volunteers at the clothing closet. We have women from Stand the Gap. I've never felt so much love in a place ever.
Mhm.
And
So there's like this community that has been built
right,
through Christian Helping Hands.
Yes.
And that whole community feeds into the repairing of you and the other women who are going through that.
Yes.
That whole process, you're just surrounded by this community who's loving, encouraging, trying to help.
One of the things I realized is when they first enter the housing program, we don't immediately go get them a job. Them volunteering at the food pantry or the clothes closet immediately begins connecting them with a different kind of people. And all our volunteers at both places just take them in like their family. They love on them, they love their kids, they encourage them, they have the good feeling of giving back because they're doing something there.
Right.
So the first week or two, I just want them to get kind of oriented into the house and meet new people through the food pantry. That's really, we don't immediately go out into the public working.
Right.
Because those relationships are very important.
I heard something somewhere. The opposite of addiction is connection. And when you're in that lifestyle, you're connected with some people, and really anybody else will kind of look at you and just put you in that category.
Right.
It's kind of hard coming back from it. I've never felt like that at Heather Soap. I never felt judged or I'm gonna start crying.
It's beautiful though, Ashley. And I mean, what a wonderful, you're the perfect example of someone who you were immediately connected. That space that was filled with addiction is now filled with people and those connections and that relationship that you're seeking, that you need to fill And I mean, it's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is the perfect storm to help women get to the other side of that.
Well, I do want to talk a minute about Stand in the Gap groups.
Okay, yeah.
Now, Stand in the Gap Ministries is a ministry out of Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and they did help us in the beginning a lot. They still do. But what we use Stand in the Gap for is each woman has a Stand in the Gap support group. And we take about 3 or 4 women from the community and place them with one of our women. And they meet twice a month at least for we ask you to commit 90 minutes, an hour and a half of meeting to build friendships, to enjoy lunch together, to talk, to teach them about having good friendships. They go out to lunch, they go shopping. Sometimes they keep their children for them when they have something to do, but they also share their life with them. And they build relationships. And most of our Stand in the Gap groups become friends for life. But we ask people to commit a year. And that's one of the ways, if people are interested in getting involved, is you meet with them and you share your struggles and you pray together. We look for 2 things. Where do you see God working in your life, or where do you need God working in your life? And they just really, and I just said, let them talk about anything, whatever they need to talk to, encourage them and be their friend. And I think those are very important.
Oh my gosh, when I had my Stand in the Gap group is kind of about the time that I got my kids back. Well, it was a little bit before, but when I did get my children back, mother parenting is hard. And that's hard. A little bit, for sure. And so I kind of felt like, because of where I came from, or because I was different, you kind of always think that, but talking with those women, they're like, girl, we have those struggles too. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is manageable if y'all can do it. And so it was just nice to be able to have that support. And I'm still friends with mine today. I see them at games, and my kids are involved in sports, and I see them out.
So I'm kind of curious about the kids. Do they go to Comanche schools? I mean, when they're living in the houses, do the schools work with you? Because these kids are going through a transition. They've been through some kind of trauma.
They've been through it.
Probably.
Yeah.
So, like, are you guys able
I'll
to?
let you answer that.
Are you able to have things for the kids too?
So we try as much as possible to do parenting classes when we can. We definitely try to get the kids into counseling. My kids are still in counseling to this day.
And how long have your kids been with you now?
They've been back with me since October of 2020. So
okay, so about 2 years.
Yeah.
Right at. Okay.
So and we do try to. I did get a phone call a couple times from daycares and schools, like, your kids are crazy. And I'm like, yes. And so, I mean,
Yeah.
So I did kind of explain to them, hey, I'm in Heather's Hope Housing. My kids have been through a lot, and they've been really good about communicating and working. And there was an adjustment period, but I feel like for the most part, like I said, our community has been pretty good about being supportive about our children. But I think just, having those classes, we try to all get together to encourage each other, to keep each other lifted up, keep our kids connected. We try to stay involved in church activities. We actually started Celebrate Recovery at Providence Baptist Church, where we have childcare that our kids are able to come and have that connection. So we just really try to share the love of Jesus and try the best we can to meet the children where they are, because that's all I feel like we can do.
I feel like the school has been very accepting.
Yeah.
I mean, the Heather's Hope kids are not the only ones there that struggle.
Right.
So
right.
they are aware of us, and they do what they can, the best they can, I think.
Oh, that's a great, I mean, I think that's another good thing that viewers might be interested in, because I mean, who's listening, they're like, okay, these kids are gonna be coming to a new town, a new school, and kind of, what do you have for them? What kind of but it sounds like, I mean,
Well, right now, we have 5 children living in our houses, not counting Ashley's, because she's not in the program, and she's a leader. And, but we have 11 kids in the program, because some of them come to visit on weekends.
okay.
We have 2 homes. Home setting is very important to us. We have what we call an efficiency apartment and another home that we keep only for visits. No one lives in them all the time. So if you get your children Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you go stay in this home with them, so they get the home atmosphere.
Instead of the transition house where
Yes.
everyone's living together.
Yes, you get to go stay in this home 2 nights, 3 days, cook meals together, watch movies together, sleep together, if that's what you want to do, enjoy just you and your children. And we try to put them in the same house every time, so it's familiar. And then we have an efficiency apartment that's what we use it for. And so we have 2 ladies right now that one of them gets her son Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and one of them gets her children Monday, Tuesday. So they stay in a home setting though, because we don't want it to just be a visit. We really want it to be, you're starting even now having home atmosphere. with your
Right.
children.
Right, practicing.
Mhm.
It really, I mean, that's what it is. It's a practice time
It is.
for when they come and they're all yours,
Yes.
all yours again.
But I did mention earlier that we started out as a 1-year program.
Right,
And what we found out when they got their children, they would leave our program and they could not afford to move in. They're still just making minimum wage or a little bit above, and they would be back into low income, maybe not safe,
yeah.
uh,
And
community,
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
and have some of the same influences that they had before
Yes.
they were.
And that's when we decided to build, family homes. And somebody donated 8 city lots to us that were all in one area. And we have now built 3 duplexes, which are 6 family homes. And so it's like their own neighborhood. They're all neighbors now,
Right,
which is really cool.
Yeah,
And 5 of them are occupied. We've got 1 and we have 2 homes, 1 at home. So we're kind of like, oh,
yeah.
we are going to need to build some more soon. We have room to build at least 4 more. And we've put in a playground area. And we have cookouts out there and all the kids play together. So they kind of become like family, extended family
Right.
with each other.
We have Casey living out there that's got all 3 of her kids. Probably should say the names. I think 4 families.
We have 4
Gotten
families.
all of their children back. And
Wow.
they are living up there.
Wow,
One
that's
One
awesome.
of the girls is going to school at Red River. She's getting her business degree. Like, these girls are using this program to benefit their lives and their families. It's just amazing to watch.
Isn't it something that, it just takes sometimes just the right situation, the right, a place to live, you have shelter. I mean, you go back to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, shelter, food, clothing, and then you start getting into like you meet all the physical needs, you meet all the emotional needs, and then there you are. You've met everybody's need, and that's what you guys are doing. You're going physical, emotional, spiritual, and meeting all of those needs, and the end product then is a healthy family situation.
Well, and it roots your community as
It
well.
is, exactly. I mean, every outcome, I mean, there are possibilities that the outcome will not be positive. It won't be successful.
Right.
But by and large, the investment is well worth it, because like you're saying, that is going to improve your community.
It does. And when we decided to build the family homes and the women came to our transitional house and realized if you succeed here in rebuilding your life, restoring your life, you can get your children and move into a safe, affordable neighborhood.
Mhm.
The success rate it skyrocketed.
Mm. Do you have like a waiting list or how do you
We're getting
handle
there.
that? Uh-huh.
We're getting there. We have turned some away that already have their children and we have no more homes.
For the full
Yes.
family
We
situation.
have no more homes. If more come, God's been good the last 2 people. we have
Mhm.
that want to be in our transitional program,
Right.
but we are going to need to build more homes soon.
Mhm.
And we don't know how long we originally said you can stay in a family home 3 years.
Mhm.
But we haven't had them a full 3 years yet.
Mm.
So we're not sure where that's going.
Right.
But during that time, we really encourage them to save and prepare to leave and be on your own.
So are they paying rent
Yes,
in those?
but it's affordable. It's about half what it would be out in
Mhm.
the community.
Mhm.
And so that is so to help enable them to save.
Right.
Well, and yeah, that's also good rental, on their rental, because I know mine
Yes.
wasn't good.
Yeah.
I've been a big.
Well, they pay the rent and the utility. Once they move into a family home, it's kind of independent living with a background of support.
Mhm.
They have to have a car, they pay their own rent, they pay their own utilities. It's like moving into a duplex somewhere else, just we're there if you need us
Mhm.
and to support you and to kind of help keep you focused.
Do you have some kind of guidelines that they have to follow within those homes too?
We call it an accountability agreement.
Right.
And we encourage them, and now once they've been through transitional housing, which is approximately a year, and they move into family homes, we encourage them, do not even think about dating for a minimum of 6 months once you get your children.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then if they decide they want to date, we have dating guidelines. And we have taught classes on relationships.
Mhm.
And so even if once they're in the home and they want to start dating, we have guidelines for that.
Mhm.
That we don't want you to jump right back into things that are not going to be healthy for you.
Right, right. And so before anyone thinks that these are restrictive, this is optional.
This is guidelines.
Yeah, these are guidelines. I don't mean that agreement's not optional. Living in the homes
Is optional.
is
Yes.
optional. And so, and you have seen someone take all these steps to get to where they are. And you're just giving them more support and more good ideas
Right.
and more positive direction in their life. At that point. And so
Yes.
really, it's not restrictive except for the fact that it eliminates some behaviors
Yes.
that could put them back where they were to begin with.
Yeah, because that lifestyle and that relationships go hand in hand.
Mhm.
And two, we all want well, attention, I never even knew there was a way of dating. I didn't even know a guy was supposed to come pick you up at your door and open the door for you, and you were supposed to go out to dinner.
Right,
I mean, I thought you met at a party or a bar, and
Right.
he was your boyfriend.
right,
I mean, really, honestly, it's not because we want to say you have to do it because we want you to do it.
Mhm.
We want you to do it because it's gonna benefit your life.
Mhm. Right, you and your children that
Yes.
you've just worked so hard
Yes.
to reunite with.
For many years, we hardly had any children because we were just transitional for the first year.
Mm.
And then we'd have 1 or 2 children, but building these family homes and having so many children now, we are looking at our program again. Now that we have so many children, how are we going to grow the whole family? How are we going to meet the needs of the whole family?
Mhm.
And what do we need to offer? Like we need some childcare so that we can do things sometimes.
Mm.
It's hard to have what we call house meetings once a week when you have 5 or 6 kids running through the
Right,
house while
right.
you're trying to meet with some women. So we are looking at different things and what do we need to offer to help grow the family. So we're reevaluating our whole program, which I'm kind of calling it phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is transitional housing where you first get there and you're working on yourself. And phase 2, if you choose to move into it, is a family home with your children. And we are still all working to grow and improve and be the best we can be in a safe, affordable neighborhood.
Right, right.
So-
And so you've been, you've had the transitional home then for, is this like the fifth or sixth year?
2017.
So five years, 2022, yeah. So 5 years. About how many women have you had the opportunity to serve through that?
We actually had the other homes, before,
Okay, oh, right,
but
yeah.
I added it up the other day. We've had 53 women.
53.
The first ones were less successful because we were learning,
Yeah.
but in the last 7 years, our success rate has been so wonderful. And just seeing these families, even we have a lady who was in one of our duplexes and she moved out into an apartment. And we helped her furnish that apartment when she moved and still helped her. And she's still friends and she still joins our socials and hangs out with the girls. And so they're kind of forever relationships.
Right. Wow. So when you said, yeah, I'll keep the food pantry running, you really had no
No,
idea.
not a clue.
Would you have said yes?
To this, probably not.
I mean,
Probably not.
honestly, it seems overwhelming whenever you stop
Can
and
be.
think about everything that you've done.
Well, one of the root sources that probably encouraged me to do the housing is I did do children's ministry in churches for about 30 years.
Yeah.
And so I had already a heart for helping families. But when I began to see the number of homeless and women struggling, it just seemed like the right thing to do.
Right.
But I really say God opened the door for us to do this. And we really agreed that whatever you give us, we'll use to help who you send us. We do not spend a lot of time promoting Heather's Hope, though we have applications in some of the prisons, in some of the rehabs. And we do have a board member, Kathy Peacock, works for Stand in the Gap Ministries. So she teaches a class, Women in Transition, in the recovery centers and in the prisons. So there are times she refers people to us. And she is a very big help for that. But we don't just go out trying to fill our homes because we need our homes full. We really want to help women who want a second chance and want to make a good home for their family. And that's the bottom line. And then, of course, having the food pantry and the clothes closet just is an added perk for us to help them in so many ways. When they come to prison and rehab, a lot of times they come with clothes that they have on. That's it.
Yeah.
And so we're able to give them, we have so many nice donations from so many people in the community. I want to tell you, thank you to everybody that donates, whether it's clothing, furniture, household items. It makes a huge difference for us.
Well, you said, I don't know, remember if you told me this before we went live or not, but every one of your homes is fully furnished by donations.
Yes, they are.
I just went good on you, everyone who is making those donations.
It
Do
is.
you find that it's people from all around the area?
Yes.
Do you have people from just?
We have people, mostly Marlowe, Duncan, Comanche, a little bit in Jefferson County, but not a lot. And a lot of it, we do pick up some. Jeannie may not want me to tell that. We do pick ups,
Yeah.
but it kind of, we have to leave it within an area that we're able to service that area. You don't want to drive to Oklahoma City unless it's really a lot.
Right, right. Yeah, where do
You
you
know,
go?
But, every Monday, we have so many people and we schedule pickups on Monday. And so many people that donate. It is, and the girls, just think, from living possibly in the streets or in rehab to, I now live in a brand new furnished 3-bedroom duplex is.
Talking to one of the girls the other day on the drive, I won't say who, I probably shouldn't even say.
That's okay.
And I was like, man, when you're in your house, and she's like, yeah, sometimes I just lay there and, when I wake up, I'm like, man, is this real?
Oh,
You know?
wow.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, when they move in, they'll tell me you're gonna have to run me off.
Yeah,
So I
right.
will.
Yeah.
No. Not
You're on
really.
the count of starts now.
No, it's just, I wish I could share what I get to see better.
Mhm.
You know, when you see a mother who started out, she got to see her son 1 hour a week, one day, 1 hour, to that baby moved into her house with her that day. And you get to watch that. Whatever hard work we did, it was worth it.
Right.
You know, and you get to see children realize I get to stay here. I don't have to leave and go back to wherever they were. And you see the restored trust and love, and it's just watching them eat their meals together, you know, and it's restored. It's just restoration. It is, and it's worth every bit of it.
Right. Right. Putting families back together. Just,
It is.
that's so awesome. I love everything about Christian Helping Hands and Heather's Hope. I just think it's phenomenal. But you guys, you have a lot of donations, but I know you have to have financial support, like real dollars. So how does that work?
Well, we do have several churches in the area that, you know,
Include you in their budget?
yes, include us in their budget. We have individuals that do that.
Mhm.
But we are fully funded by donations from individuals, corporations, whoever. And I do write grants for some of it. And then God's good grace. I mean, we don't go out soliciting a lot,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, you
But-
said the last actual fundraiser you had was in 2018.
It was, and pre-COVID, but sometimes God just gives us surprises here and there.
Yeah.
You know, but we are upgrading our webpage because I want people to hear these stories.
Mhm.
I want them to hear that there's good things going on in the world, that people's lives are changing. And we do need people who will support what we're doing. We do need to build some more homes. But I don't worry about it a whole lot.
Mhm.
You know, and you can go onto our webpage and make a donation if you want to. You can call our office, you can mail it directly. There's lots of ways that we, you know, we probably have about 40 volunteers involved
Wow.
that help keep this. And we, what I call collaboration with a lot of people. We do, like the school teacher that came and taught a parenting class, and Stand in the Gap that helps us, and the churches that help us, and the counselors. We have some really good counselors in our area that work with our families, and just lots of people coming along beside us.
Mhm.
We couldn't do this, not one person in our organization could do it by herself.
So how many paid employees do you have?
Two.
Am I looking at them?
No, actually,
Okay.
I'm not paid.
Okay.
I am a
Okay.
full-time volunteer.
Uh-huh.
Ashley is a paid employee, and then we have another office person that does accounting and payroll and all this. But it's just my passion.
Right, right. Well,
So,
I just think, ever since I learned about what you do over there, it's been something that I have felt was just, it's a wonderful story of how it started and how it grew, just by people saying, okay, yes, yes. All right, we have this, yes, you can have it. And just the willingness to, you know, just see where it goes. You know, you don't put any
always heard
parameters on it.
you can't outgive God.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of our, actually, he's probably the CEO.
Yeah, yeah.
Of all of
there you go.
this, you
Yeah.
know, and it's not easy sometimes, but every bit of it's worth it. It is, and I am thankful for Ashley. She just makes a huge difference in the girls' lives as well as my workload.
So Ashley, did you go back to school or anything?
I
after-
actually got my peer recovery support specialist. I went and got that.
Uh-huh.
And I'm actually going to be enrolling in Cameron for psychology.
Awesome. I love that. That's fantastic. Hi.
We are gonna have an event, November 6th
Mhm.
on a Sunday evening. We are having an event called Celebration of Hope.
Mhm.
I can't tell you the hope that flows through this ministry. And so we're gonna have it on Sunday night at 6 o'clock at Providence Baptist Church. And some of the girls are gonna share their stories. Some people will know Randy Weeks. He's an old Comanche guy who became a pastor, and he's just a dear friend. He's gonna come and be supportive. And then we have, I would like to tell you his name, but I can't remember those things. A man from Sulphur who is very involved in Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Okay.
But we are going to do a celebration of hope on November the 6th. We'll be advertising that pretty soon.
Mhm.
That will just tell some of this in a way that we can celebrate all the good things that have been happening.
And will that evening just be a time of gathering and celebrating? Will there be an opportunity for people to support financially or anything like that?
Yes, it will. It will be a time where you can learn more about us, learn more about what we're doing, and ways that you can get involved.
I like it. That's a great idea. Well, we are gonna put, what is your website? How do you,
CHH-cares, CARES.com.
okay, CHH-cares.com. We're putting
Yes.
that in the comments.
It
on
is
the
being
Facebook post.
updated. Hopefully by the 1st of October, we'll have our new website up.
Okay, all right, very good. If someone types in Christian Helping Hands.
It will go to that.
It
It will
will.
show you how to
Okay.
get to our website.
Okay,
Mhm.
And also Heather's Hope's page is on Facebook.
We have 2 separate pages.
okay.
And Christian Helping Hands. We,
And Heather's Hope are both
Yeah,
on Facebook.
and-
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, very good.
And we do post stories and things on Facebook about it. Things. It's just, I want people to know, I do, these women are my heroes. I mean, just think about this. I'm going to get in a car that I've never been in with somebody I've never met and go to a place I've never been in hopes there's something there for me.
Mhm.
That's brave.
True.
It is, and and I watch them do things that are not easy.
Mhm.
I watch them do things afraid. Sometimes I'm a little scared of making this change,
Mhm.
but they're my heroes, every one of them. They work hard and they build great homes for their kids.
Well, that's fantastic. And I know if I say thank you for making all of those opportunities available. I know there are people
Yes.
that are coming alongside you. But Pam, you're the one who was out there at the food pantry saying, okay, yeah, we'll take that fridge. Oh, yeah, we'll put a coat rack out here. I mean, you just had that willingness and you continue to have that willingness and continue to allow the vision to grow and go wherever
Mhm.
it's gonna go. And just giving your community a place to serve and a place to give and a place to support. You've done that for Comanche by putting this program there in that community.
Yes.
And so there are so many people who benefit, but viewers, if this is the first time you've heard of Christian Helping Hands, I hope you are super blown away, like I always am. If you've known about them and you're being reminded, just know that if you have a little extra something or some time, some money, something, Christian Helping Hands, they say yes. They say
That
yes.
is it. We say yes,
Uh-huh.
and inevitably somebody comes along. I wish that sometimes I've kept a log of how many refrigerators or sofas or beds we've had,
Right,
because we don't just use them in our house. We actually help other people too.
right, right. And that
Yeah.
part of that started out is still going
Yes.
too.
Yes.
So, and then Heather's Hope, look them up on Facebook, y'all, go to their webpage. I hope you're just moved today by Ashley's story and by Pam. So, ladies, thank you for coming on Trail Talk. It
Well,
has
thank
been
you
so much fun.
For inviting us.
You are so
We
welcome.
love to tell our story.
Yeah, it is a great story to tell, a great one. Well, we're gonna say goodbye until next time. So, we'll see you guys soon. Happy
Bye.
trails.